You are watching Access LaPorte County, Channel 97. Coming up next is the June 20th, 2023 meeting of the LaPorte County Board of Zoning Appeals. You can find more information for this meeting by visiting www.accesslaportecounty.org.
Good evening. I'd like to call to order the LaPorte County Board of Zoning Appeals meeting for June 20th. Mr. Minnick, would you lead us in the pledge?
Sure.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Can I get a roll call, please?
Melissa Mullins-Mishke.
Here.
Glenn Minnick.
Here.
Vern Schaefer.
Here.
April Daly.
Here.
Deb Vance.
Here. Wonderful. I will entertain a motion for the approval of the May 16th meeting minutes.
I'll make a motion that the minutes be approved as presented.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Okay. Petition number 1 this evening is a petition for variance of developmental standards for EZ Liquid Solutions, Inc., represented by Anthony Novak of Newby Lewis, Kaminsky and Jones, to store waste outdoors. Property is located at 7528 South First Line Road, LaPorte, Union Township, zoned M1 on 8.184 acres.
No, it's adequate.
Good evening.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Anthony Novak. I'm an attorney with Newby Lewis, Kaminsky and Jones in LaPorte at 916 Lincoln Way. As was introduced, we represent EZ Liquid Solutions, who's the applicant tonight. We also represent Kingsbury Utility Corporation, who is the owner of this property. Here with me tonight is Jerry Jackson, who is the wastewater operator with Kingsbury Utility, who's going to discuss a little bit more of the substance of what EZ Liquids is trying to do here. So this application, I'm going to introduce a little bit, turn over to Jerry. This application relates to property owned by KUC in the Kingsbury Industrial Park at 7528 South First Line Road. The property is zoned M1 Light Industrial and is highlighted on Exhibit 1 in blue to our petition. So KUC currently operates a wastewater treatment plant on the property in compliance with the JZO. KUC's owner, Jeff Johnson, is going to form this new entity who he wholly owns, known as EZ Liquid Solutions, which is going to lease a portion of KUC's property. As indicated in our petition, EZ Liquid Solutions' desire is to operate on that leased property pending IDEM approval, permit approval for a dewatering and solid waste processing plant to dewater septage, biosolids and grease, and then store the resulting solids until land application in the spring and the fall. And then the water from that process would be treated at the KUC water plant. So while the intended use is permitted here, we are requesting a development standards variance. Under Article 14, there are some specific use requirements that apply. Specifically, we're requesting a development standards variance from Article 14.17A1 to permit those solids to be stored outdoors rather than an enclosed structure. The location of where EZ Liquids will be operating and where the solids will be stored is shown on Exhibit 2 and 3 of our petition. If you see on the aerial, you'll see that almost the majority of the surrounding land looks like it's vacant, like nothing is there. The majority of that land is owned by the state through the DNR. And I just did a rough look on Beacon. It looks like the nearest residence is 4,000 to 5,000 feet south of this property. So at this point, I'd like to turn it over to Jerry just so he can give you a little bit more details about what's going to happen.
Well, I'm the operator for Kingsbury Utility Corp, wastewater operator.
And if you would, please state your name and address for the record.
Thank you. Jerry Jackson, 1122 South Middlebrook Court, Westville. The new proposed operation will be very similar to the old one, so I'll just run real quickly, if you would, through the old one. They receive septage, contents of the septic tank, biosolids, the wastewater that, or the solids that are from wastewater treatment,
blend that with a polymer so that the water runs off it, and they pump it out into a geobag, which is just a perforated bag that sits out on a concrete pad. The water runs off that, and then you've got a big tube essentially of the solids. That sits on site at least 90 days. In practice, it's almost 180 because of winter and logistics of farming. And air dries, so we meet the state of Indiana's bacteriological standard. We've got to let it air dry. After it's air dried, the solids are land applied on local farm fields there in the industrial park, and then incorporated, chiseled in. And that's pretty much the process from start to finish. The change here is that the geo bags are fairly expensive. They're unwieldy to use. So Kingsbury wants to switch to a mechanical dewatering system. Still add polymer, but it goes through a machine that lets the water come off, and you get dry solids out the end instead of putting in a bag. The solids would be then windrowed on that same concrete pad we now have the bags, and they would go through the same process. They'd be stored out there at least 90 days to air drier, and disinfect, and then be land applied on the existing sites. The part of this comes about because Kingsbury's grown enough that they're pushing the limits of using bags, and this would be a much more efficient operation. You wouldn't be spending $1,000 every time you need a new bag. We are rather remote. They put the sewage treatment plant for the industrial park in the right spot, so there's very few neighbors to impact with the project. I can answer questions if there are any.
Let's see if we have any remonstrators. Is anyone remonstrating tonight, either for or against this petition? Anybody for or against? Hearing and seeing none, are there questions from the board?
What type of grease?
It's 100%. I had to think a little bit. 100% restaurant grease.
Okay.
It's the grease trap they have out in back of the kitchen and it comes from local restaurants. I know a couple casinos are customers, and a bunch of restaurants.
Okay.
Oh, Jerry, you might as well stay there for a moment.
Got another question? Okay.
Well, the other question was, I mean, IDEM oversights the whole site and the whole project.
Absolutely, they're permitting this. This is one of the items they called out in the permitting process. And we need to go through the zoning.
Sure.
Yep.
And previously, I mean, it was stored in bags. Do you think will the rain make any difference as far as, I mean, you're drying the solids pretty far, so some rain that's added back in is just going to air dry back off, I'm guessing.
It will. We're going to put it in windrows so the water will tend to run off. The concrete pad it's on is all sloped to drains. So if there is runoff from the solids, it goes down the drain to the wastewater treatment plant. So we capture any runoff from the process. Okay.
Okay, if there are no further questions and seeing no remonstrators, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that the petition for a variance of developmental standards for easy liquid solutions to store waste outdoors be granted.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Good luck. Petition number 2 this evening is a petition for variance of developmental standards for Heather Keenan Smith and Jeremy Smith for construction of a third accessory structure in front of the home instead of the rear. Property is located at 2755 North Goldring Road, LaPorte, Cool Spring Township, zoned R1A on 6.1783 acres.
Notice is adequate.
Good evening. If you would, please state your name and address for the record.
Hi, good evening. My name is Jeremy Smith, address 2755 North Goldring Road, LaPorte, Indiana.
All right, what brings up the need for a second structure?
I have a very expensive truck that sits outside just getting ate up by the snow and the sun. And it doesn't fit in the current garage. The garage doors aren't tall enough.
Okay.
I'm not familiar with the information that you guys have in front of you, but there was an old, we call it a granary. That's what my wife's family called it. That just got I mean, over time, it was a cool building, but we couldn't save it. So we ended up tearing it down.
That's the little wood shed that's in the picture here that was replacing.
Can I?
Approach here.
Yes, please.
I just want you to point it out.
Just if he starts moving.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can't. The front looks a lot better than the back. The whole back of the roof was, I mean, it was ripped up. I cut a tree down when we moved in. There was a mulberry tree that actually grew up and was growing through the side of the roof.
But you tore that building down, or you're tearing it down?
It's gone.
And you're going to replace it with
I would like
new
to.
structure.
I would
Okay.
like to replace it. We would like to replace it with a new structure.
Thank you.
And the size of the new structure?
24 wide by 30 deep.
Do we have any remonstrators this evening for this petition? Anybody for or against petition number 2?
The only thing we didn't ask was what it's gonna look like for the neighbors. I mean, what is this,
It's a like from Amish structure, so it'll be almost like a pole barn looking, an all metal building,
all metal?
gravel driveway, gravel floor.
Painted metal to match the,
Yes, yeah, tan and I believe the colors are tan and like off white for the trim, so to match the house and the garage as close as we can based on the options that the company offers.
If there are no further questions, I'll entertain a motion.
I move that we grant the petition for variance of developmental standards for Heather and Kleinitz and Smith and Jeremy Smith for the construction of a third accessory structure in front of the home instead of the rear.
I second it.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Good luck.
Thank you.
Petition number 3 this evening is a petition for variance of developmental standards for Carol Honig and Daniel M. Davis and Christina Gernez for construction of a secondary accessory structure with a setback of 10 feet from rear property line along a road. The property is located at 2632 South US Highway 35, LaPorte, Scipio Township, zoned R1A.
No, it's adequate.
Thank you. I apologize for the last name. If you would state your name and address for the record.
Christina Gernitz, 2632 South US 35 in LaPorte.
All right, Christina, what are we going to use our second structure for?
Requesting a second structure that'll be at the rear of the property, which will be a garage/pool house that will enclose our yard into a courtyard, and there's access off the subdivision behind us, so it should kind of aesthetically be seamless.
Are you technically in that subdivision as well?
I believe that is part of our legal description, but no, we don't usually arrive that way.
Okay.
This will be a new entrance for us.
Okay. Are there any remonstrators tonight for petition number 3? Anybody for or against petition number 3?
nobody cares.
I have a question, I guess, if
Please.
not, if, number one, I know where you're gonna put the building, proposed building. It appears that your frontage is on State Road 35, is that correct? And this street behind you, do you have a driveway permit for that property? Are you gonna try to enter that property from that street?
There is an existing driveway. It's not paved, but it's always been there since we've owned the property.
Okay, but there's never been a building there.
Not there, but you can see that attached storage is where the driveway approaches. So you can access that storage from that road.
Well, I made a couple of notations here.
Yeah, I do.
there's a narrow strip that you own on the south side of your property.
Yes.
And that's not part of this property that you're concerned with, but you're 10 feet from the road behind you, is that correct? I was just curious, I know you're trying to keep this probably close to the pool, is that the situation? If you combine that narrow strip with your property, could you move the building slightly to the south?
We definitely have options if that's something that's recommended. We were trying to make it kind of within the courtyard, so it'd be less obtrusive. Not that it is, but we have flexibility there.
Well, the narrow strip of property that's adjacent to you that you own, it can't be done anything with
Right.
anyway. So it's
Right.
just kind of a buffer between you and the neighbor, I guess. But that was just a comment. I know that would make things a little less crowded for you, but that was just a thought.
Yeah, we're trying to avoid the septic field that's kind of in that area as well. So
Yeah, I see that in the drawing also.
Well, if you want to use it as a pool house, you want to kind of keep it close to the pool.
right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We do have options if needed.
Any other questions from the board? There are no remonstrators, rather, so I will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that the petition for a variance of developmental standards be granted for the construction of a secondary accessory structure with a setback of 10 feet.
I second it.
I have a motion and a couple seconds. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Petition number 4 this evening is a petition for variance of developmental standards for Lawrence and Connie Wysocki for construction of an 8-foot fence along eastern property line instead of the 6-foot 6-inch maximum allowed. Property is located at 201 East Drive, Walkerton, Lincoln Township, zoned R1B.
That's adequate.
Good evening. If you would please state your name and address for the record.
Connie Wysocki, 201 East Drive, Walkerton, Indiana.
Okay. Connie, what brings us to the 8-foot fence rather than 6 foot 6 inches?
Neighbor issues.
Okay. Are you planning on doing that size all the way up?
Eventually,
So you want to start and kind of do it in sections?
correct.
But we gotta stay so far off the main street anyway, so. 20 foot, 25 foot, something like that.
Are there any remonstrators tonight for this petition? Anybody for or against it?
Let's do this.
So is there wood in the back of the property?
Yeah.
Is that, you just store wood back there, chop it in storage?
Yes, we heat with wood.
Okay. Any other
It's all
questions?
cleaned up now.
sure.
Right, that's what you do all summer, right?
Not me.
Do you guys have any questions?
Well, obviously, the ordinance is for a 6-foot 6 fence, and I was just curious as to, and that's why they're asking for a variance. Is there a particular reason why you want it to be 8 foot instead of 6'6"?
She said the
Because our
neighbors.
property is higher than the neighbors, which is downhill. And you can still see over and vice versa.
Good fences, good neighbors.
Yeah, good fences, good neighbors, right? I noticed that they're talking about doing a portion of this and maybe some later. Are we granting the variance for the entire line between them and the adjacent lots for 8 foot or what? Whatever we want, right?
If you want. I mean,
Your intentions.
Well, in time, we'd like to keep the fence even to make it won't be look so, because nobody ever, that property is adjoined to ours right next door.
So they're trying.
We've been there 15 years. That lady, nobody's ever took care of that property. We take care of that property. So I've never seen anybody there out of all the years.
It doesn't make any difference to me. Okay.
All right. If there are no further questions, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion for petition of variance of developmental standards for Lawrence and Kaniwaisaki for construction of an 8-foot fence along the eastern property instead of the 6.6 maximum allowed.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Good luck.
Thank you, guys.
All right, petition number 5 is a petition for variance of use for Jacqueline Cook for operation of an online auction. Property is located at 8732 South, 800 West, Wanata, Clinton Township, zoned ag on 2 acres.
Notice adequate.
If you would please state your name and address for the record, please.
Jacqueline Cook, 8732 South, 800 West, Wanata, Indiana.
Tell us a little bit more about this online auction.
So we would like to have online auctions. The business hours would be a preview 1 to 2 days prior to the online auction and pick up 1 to 2 days after the online auction between the hours of 9 a.m. and 6 p.m. or by appointment. And consignments would be accepted by appointment. We have adequate parking. There's a large parking area with adequate space for turnaround and could accommodate up to 10 cars at a time. As for signage, there would be yard signs that would be removable and they would be placed out on the preview days, the online auction day, and the pickup days. And then there'll be a sign on the building.
So you're not actually going to have multiple people there at once. It's going to be online, so they're only going to show up when they're going to pick up their items.
Yes, or when they come to look around to preview.
Okay. So what days would you have auctions normally?
Most likely on Wednesdays, and then pickup days on Thursday, Fridays.
So we're really looking at Monday through Saturday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Yes.
Is that every Saturday?
What kind of items are you talking about here for online auction? Size of items. What kind of items are you talking?
Mostly household items and consignments. There may be some larger, like sinks, maybe small equipment like lawnmowers.
And when this stuff comes onto your property for the auction, I assume it comes onto your property.
Yes.
Where do you store it?
And we have a large building that it would be stored in. And then there's some space outside for some outside items as well.
That leads to my question. Could you show us on this picture, could you draw like the space where you're going to store so that we could, let the attorney know when he drafts this up? We're not going to put things on the whole lot, certainly.
So there's actually a building right here. And that is where it's going to be stored. And then the online auction items would be out. Any outside stuff would be in this area, in the driveway area along the sides.
So
Good.
around the barn.
There's another barn that's not in the picture. That's
microphone.
right here. There's a barn.
Okay.
That it would be stored in here and then out in front of that in the driveway area.
Okay.
Jackie, would that include parking in that same space?
And the parking is to the right in front of the other building and then all the way out to the road.
So basically, we're gonna limit this to in the building, and I believe if the picture is right, only north of the current driveway, house driveway.
Yes.
Okay.
Let's see if we have any remonstrators tonight. Anybody for or against it? Okay, if you would like to have a seat, if you would like to come up. And state your name and address for the record, please.
Jerry Bennett, 8776 South, 800 West, Wanata, and our property is adjacent to them. We have a few concerns. Number one would be with traffic. increased on the county road with pickups and deliveries with delivery trucks and so forth. And it's zoned agricultural, and we're on the family farm. Is this, the new building, was it designed for ag or for small business? Is there a difference when you build a barn? Do you have to state? Is it for agriculture or is it a small business? And last year, I think they might have had a couple of yard sales or garage sales, or maybe online, I don't know. But we've had last year several incidents where people driving up our drive, past our house, to the back, to my barn, turn around and come out. One time, an elderly couple stopped and wanted to know if they could try out the recliner before they paid for it. Sure, if I had one, but I just assumed it was a garage sale. I didn't know. But those are the things that we're concerned with, with the increased traffic and so forth. And if there's larger items, I understand stuff in the barn, you can't see it. But if there are larger items that are setting out, would any of this, devalue our property by having something like this? And that's about all I've got.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other remonstrators, either for or against?
Here, I think she's there.
We'd like to approach again. Thank you.
Sure that are not on there.
I guess another question I would have would be, if an item doesn't sell, okay, if you have it online, it doesn't sell, do you leave it for the next online auction and then next one? And where does this stuff accumulate, especially if it's an outside item? Does it stay there until you sell it, or what's your plan here?
We would maybe put it in one more auction, and if it doesn't sell at that one, then dispose of it.
Well, I definitely think the signage would help your neighbors, right? They're going to know where to go to look at items.
Yes.
I have visited the area around and looked at it, and it does look a bit congested for quite a bit of, if there's several people unloading things or if they're parking, there's not a whole lot of parking available the way it looks to me, unless they're parking on the county road. There's not much space there for that, along with an accumulation of items. So that is one of my concerns.
Okay.
What else?
I think if the board chooses to do this, I think this is a good petition that perhaps, because your cost is your cost, it's kind of limited. If we were to grant a variance, I would suggest that we grant it for a year, see how it works out. The neighbors can all see how it works out. It's not, it's not a lifelong commitment here. And then have you come back in a year and see if we have any problems and go from there, is what I would say.
Are you making a motion?
I will, if we're ready for that. So,
Monday through Saturday.
I make a motion that the petition be granted for a period of 1 year, Monday through Saturday, business hours 9 to 6. A sign will be posted during auction times and previous
Yes,
to
preview
show
and
times.
pickup days.
And we will be using the current buildings and only the property to the north of the driveway for items.
Sign size?
And let's go with, since you said it, items must be removed after the second auction.
What size sign do you think you'll have out there?
24 by 24.
Well, there you go. There's sign 24 by 24. That's it.
Okay. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Congratulations, your motion passed. So 1 year. All right, petition number 6 this evening is a petition for special exception for 421 Westville LLC for construction and operation of a mini storage facility to be constructed in phases located at 3437 South Highway 421 Westville, New Durham Township, zoned B2 on 6.3263 acres.
Notice adequate.
If you would state your name and address for the record, please.
Bob Kiger, 754 South Forester Road, LaPorte.
How many storage units are we looking
Well, the plan that we gave you was a kind of an autofill, just to see what we could put in there. Obviously, it's not gonna be, we just possibly gonna acquire some land just to the north of it also. So this, obviously, we're working with Tony Hendricks for the drainage and all that stuff, so that we don't dump it on, obviously, anybody else's property.
Very good.
So this is just, again, kind of an autofill to see what we could. So obviously, Tony, once we get your blessing, hopefully, that we'll turn it over to the Hendricks and they'll design it to make sure it fits and does everything properly. So we're just, I think we just had some discussion. I'm not sure, for the mini storage part, we need special exception. Doug, I'm sorry.
Yes. Use. Yep.
So-
Special exception.
Just to clarify, so some of these will be conditioned and some won't be, but they will be all basically, the conditions, one, you'll have to go inside the building to get your units. The other ones will be standard 9x7 outside garage doors. And then we might do some possibly parking lot or, outdoor parking for motorhomes or boats. We're not sure yet. So I'm not sure what we need to clarify.
You should be okay on the motorhomes and boats.
Okay.
What about lighting out there?
For sure, it's gonna be on the buildings. So yes, and we're talking about fencing and all that also. So that hasn't been 100% decided yet.
Okay.
But yes, there will definitely be minimum outdoor lighting, whether it's on poles or it's on the buildings. And then everything except for like the QSR up front would be blacktop. The rest of the mini storage will be all either crushed concrete, so to be drainage there to help get the water where it needs to go.
And will it be open 24 hours?
Not 100% sure yet. We're thinking about putting remote gates on it, so they do have access. So if we do that, then yes, they will have access to it with a key card.
Okay.
But honestly, it hasn't gone that far yet.
Okay.
So we just wanted to hopefully get the blessings from you and then get everything designed by Hendricks Associates for water and all that, and then go from there.
Do we have any remonstrators tonight for petition number 6? You're not sure? Do you have anything in favor or against? Come on up and state your name and address for the record, please.
Mark Parkman, 4052 South, 1100 West. I've met with him and Joanne at the site, and they've said that the drawing that they sent us isn't accurate, and that's good. My concern, I own the farm right behind it. There's no retention. And so, the way it was presented to us, it's an issue. Working with Hendricks, he does a good job. He does our stuff. So that's my only concern. I think it's good that it's going in. That's fine. I have no problem with that.
You don't want them flooding out your crops?
I do not.
Okay. Very good. Anybody else?
I guess my question would be, do you have another?
Do you have anything additional you want to?
I'm thinking about it.
All right, think quickly.
I guess my question would be, while we're waiting for you to come up, if you want to come up, is do we need to see another plan before we move on this?
Let's be clear on what he's asking for, because outside storage is permitted. The special exception has to do with indoor storage. Okay, and any drainage he's going to check before a building permit's issued.
Right.
Okay. So the drainage will have to be cleared before that.
Correct.
And then of course, not all retention will have to be designed into that.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I think Tony uses the 100-year standard. I'm pretty sure. So, and that's pretty standard nowadays. 20 years ago it wasn't. Today it is.
I think it's county standard.
Yeah.
100.
That's another storage issue, right?
Okay.
If you would just state your name and address for the
My
record.
name is Gregory McNair. I'm from Azure LLC. It's 9851 West, 375 South. It's the property directly to the south of the subject.
Okay.
Haven't had a chance to meet with you. Did get your certified mail about.
If I can get you to address the board.
Yeah, well, I understand. I'm just trying to explain the situation, sorry. And my concern is just mostly, is this a proper use of a pretty valuable corridor for the county? I mean, this is where 2 and 421 join. And we've been dealing with Westville a lot about what the future of Westville is going to be. And to be completely honest, our vision is a higher level retail and mixed use development going in there, something that would hopefully tie in with the university. There's already a large storage facility just to the north of this. There's also a fairly large storage facility that Mark owns just to the south of this. That's just my concern. Is this a proper use of that corridor?
Thank you. Come on back, Bob. All right, so we've addressed drainage. Are there any other questions from the board? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Okay, I'll do it. Well, I motion that we grant the petition for special exception for the construction and operation of mini storage facility to be constructed in phases at the Highway 421 Westville area.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Excuse me. Okay. Sign, I apologize. He just clarified.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Good luck.
Thank you.
All right, petition number 7 this evening. I might get home for dinner. Petition number 7 this evening is a petition for variance of developmental standards for Kevin and Dominique Gowan for construction of a third accessory structure to be used for personal storage. The property is located at 3445 West Waverly Road, LaPorte, Center Township, zoned R1B on 3.388 acres.
Notice adequate.
Kevin Gone, 3445 West Waverly.
All right, Kevin.
Oh.
What are we gonna put in this structure?
Well, right now I got an old Jeep and it's gonna go in there. And since it's a bigger yard than I thought when I bought the place, probably a 0 turn at some point. Besides that, maybe a couple of hand tools, things like that, just around the house stuff, personal storage type items.
No living quarters?
Nope. No, ma'am.
And you said the size is 36 by 40?
It's gonna be a poured slab concrete built by Cleary, stainless steel, to match the house.
Where's Dwayne when you need him?
We miss Dwayne. He used to ask everybody if that was big enough for you.
You know,
Are you sure?
it's
Now's the time.
it's as big as I can get away with without my wife. So I'm all set. I'll make it work.
Alrighty, I'm good. Yeah.
Good man.
For the record, it's so her car doesn't get snow on it in the winter time. So
Even better. Very good.
Wow. It's beautiful.
All right. And thank you for providing us with some more detailed wetland information.
yes.
Are there any remonstrators tonight for this petition? Anybody for or against Kevin putting in some garage for personal storage? Hearing and seeing none. Are there further questions from the board?
No.
Not really.
I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion for a variance of, petition for variance of developmental standards for Kevin and Dominique Gowan,
Gone. Just like
Gowan, for construction of a third accessory structure to be used for personal storage.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Right. Petition number 8 this evening is a petition for variance of use for JACA Company LLC, leaser, and Trail Creek Renewables LLC, leasee, for operation of a manure processing facility, which will produce natural gas for utility use, and remaining manure product is given back to nearby dairy farms. Project will utilize 8 acres maximum. The property is located south of 4204 East, 200 North, Rolling Prairie, Kankakee Township, zoned ag on 120 acres.
Notice adequate.
Thank you. If you would please state your name and address for the record.
My name's C.W. Alexander. I'm representing Trail Creek Renewables LLC, 2000 PGA Boulevard, Suite 4440, Palm Beach Gardens, Florida. Sorry, go ahead.
No, please go ahead.
I thought I'd just give a slight description of what this facility is and the benefits of it. It's essentially a renewable natural gas facility. The intention is to process dairy manure, 100% dedicated to dairy manure for approximately 4 different dairy farmers in the area. The goal is essentially we take the manure, we bring it in, we rent it from them, we'll just say, squeeze the gas out in simple terms, and we give it back to them in the same form, plus the gas. So it essentially remains as a fertilizer, right? There's no real change in that outside of a few little sulfur compounds that get out with the gas, but essentially we just process it. It essentially goes into a couple of tanks. It heats it up to about 100 degrees Fahrenheit. It's not very hot, not much hotter than it is outside today. And the gas, over a course of about 21 days, evolves, comes off, and goes into essentially a gas bubble that you would see on the top of the tank, which then comes off, gets compressed, and we clean out the sulfur compounds, the CO2, there's a little bit of CO2 there, and oxygen and any water that's remaining, and then we send that to a sales pipeline down the road, which in this case is directly north. We are likely considering going into the NIPSCO pipeline that's about 1.5 miles north of the proposed location. So we're seeking to get a variance of use in agricultural to be able to put this in place, and it's a long-term project. We intend to run this for a lot of years, and we have a current site lease agreement with the JACA Co. LLC to put that on that property for the long term.
Do you have any other locations close to here?
This is the only one that we have in Indiana. I'm a developer, and we have 2 other ones going in, one in Bailey, Michigan, and another one in Mendon, Michigan as well. So they're going up. It's kind of a pig in the python in this industry, and in Indiana and Michigan, it's important to get these projects up and running as soon as possible. The California legislation, the CARB standards that are really the driver behind a lot of this, has changes that are occurring, and so we want to get this project into place before it potentially may not be grandfathered to be able to happen in the state of Indiana. So it's important to get these pieces into place so that we can start constructing a facility, subject to the air permitting and other permitting through IDEM that we still have to have approved.
Do we have any remonstrators this evening for or against this petition? Anybody in favor or against? Questions from the board?
So what kind of new laws or requirements are going to be coming forward that you're concerned about?
Well, right now, I mean, talking about the last portion of what I was just bringing up.
Yes.
Well, CARB legislation right now, the California Air Resources Board, they're considering different proposed changes to their legislation. I mean, that legislation only exists until 2030. After that, it's a big question mark. So for even someone like me, there's a risk that in 2031, the credits and the carbon related credits go away in 2031. So it's important to get up and running to be able to ultimately, I'll just say make money from the renewable natural gas so that it pays off the plant. Mm-hmm. And so after that, we expect that to continue on and otherwise. And we also expect that a lot of the other states may start to implement their own carbon credit programs. Oregon's already done it. Washington's looking at it. State of New York is already sort of proclaimed changes. State of Michigan is starting to look at those things as well. So, we expect that to move along over time. But in the short run, CARB legislation is such that they're considering making changes to it, which may or may not include being able to get credits associated with anything east of Colorado. So, because their goal is to obviously get clean in California, not get everywhere else clean but themselves. So they're looking at that closely, saying, well, hey, hang on, who are the benefits for here? And so those changes are being considered. They may decide to ramp up the compliance requirements that they want to accelerate their own initiatives, which would actually move forward these projects in a bigger way in some of the other states. But that's an uncertainty right now. But what we do know is that right now, they haven't made a decision around that. So the opportunity is now to be able to put things in place to at least grandfather through to 2025, which is we expect would be the likely point at which, if it was to get grandfathered, that's when it would get cut off.
Okay.
Does that help?
So when we grant a variance like this, there's a certain time frame that's set that the project's supposed to go. I mean, how much time do you need this variance to run?
50 years?
No. I mean, till you're up and running and built.
I see. Well, right now we're hoping to be able to start next spring. So, it takes 12 to 14 months to build. There's all sorts of things that could delay that or create things, but I'm just giving you, complete transparency on how that would look like. So, we're hoping we're up and running, sort of mid-2025, worst case.
Yeah, I mean, we've got the requirement that a building permit be obtained within a year of the grant.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's why I wanted to make sure that we could extend it at least, I think you have to go 3 years on something like this because they're going to have to find, their credits they're going to get to make the whole thing work. And
yeah.
So.
And we've got the permitting process from the other agencies too, which are not fast.
Right.
Yeah, but is there a statute of limitation on our variance?
Yeah, that's what he was saying. So basically
If they start the process, then the variance goes on. Is that correct?
Yeah. They have to obtain the building permit within a year.
Okay, well, as long as they understand that, I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah, but we're saying we're going to extend that for a period of 3 years. That you have 3 years,
Sure.
to get the permit.
That's more
build
than
the
enough.
build the
You
facility.
can do that.
Were you making a motion?
If we're at that point.
Once you did it, you might as well.
I mean, this is only a positive thing for the area farmers. This is a positive thing for the people of LaPorte County. It cleans the air. They don't smell. There's revenue that is drawn, so it's all good.
If I may add, I'll just for information purposes, this also we'll have sand recovery associated with this as well. So right now today, most dairy farmers actually just keep spreading sand forever onto their land, which is not necessarily a positive thing over the long term. So we're going to have a sand separation thickening facility there. So we'll actually recover, I would just say 95 to 99% of the sand will just keep moving in circle. And so you won't have that sand.
The sand goes back to the dairy farms for their freestalls?
Yes, exactly, for bedding. They use it for sand for bedding their dairy cows.
Okay.
Okay, so that being said, I make a motion that the petition for variance of use for JACA Company, Leesore and Trail Creek Renewables, leasee for the operation and the building of this facility be granted, and that the building of time be extended into 3 years.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign.
Thank you.
Good luck. All right.
You're done.
Petition number 9 this evening is a petition for variance of use for developmental standards for Melissa A. Young for construction of an attached garage with a 5-foot setback instead of the 10-foot requirement. Property is located at 206 Holly Drive, Walkerton, Lincoln Township, zoned R1B.
That's adequate.
Thank you, Ashley.
Oh, okay. Melissa Young, 206 Holly Drive, Walkerton, Indiana,
Thank you.
46574.
Okay, so what are we're going to add an attached garage?
Yep, to the house.
Okay.
And instead of 10 foot, they just need 5 from the fence.
How big is the garage they're adding on?
I think it's on that paperwork. My brother's 24 by something on the
24
drawing.
feet of width. It's kind of.
It's just with the wheelchair, you need a little more room to get the wheelchair out and to open the car door. That's why. That's the only reason, really. Make my life a little easier.
Only the 28 feet. It is 28. Are there any remonstrators this evening for this petition? Anybody for or against petition number 9?
You outlasted all the months.
I know, right?
Yeah.
That's the way to do it.
I figured I was last with the last name.
Are you gonna have access to the back of your lot after you put this garage on? How much room is on the other side of the house?
I don't know how much room, but you can drive a car through there.
Okay.
Yeah, on the other side of the house.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, we were wondering that too. We're like, we're never gonna be able to get in the back, but the other side you can get something back there, and the septic's in front. So
Yeah.
So the proposed garage is going to be on the, I assume this is north, will be on the east side of the house.
yeah, the left.
And the small building behind, is that a garage right now?
That shed, we knocked it down. That was where the garage is going. There was a little old shed there.
Yeah.
That's gone. And we demolished
Okay,
it.
so you're just
Yeah, that's where we're putting it to attach it to
attaching
the
it
house.
to the house.
So I can wheel in from the house in this winter, so I don't have
You're
to.
saying is they're only gonna be 5 feet from the property line?
Yeah.
Next door, yeah. Instead of 10, 5 foot. We're not touching their fence. It's just, I guess you gotta.
What's on the property adjacent to you?
It's empty lot.
It's a big lot, and there's.
It's
the
just
home
empty.
is-
There's a house farther down from that lot, but there's nothing next to that fence right there. It's
By
empty
the
lot.
adjacent lot.
Well, no, somebody owns it.
Oh,
The homeowner owns the whole lot.
okay.
Yeah, he owns it.
Are there any further questions?
It's a small lot. There wasn't much you could do. And get a garage.
That's right.
Thank you.
I'll entertain a motion.
I move that we grant a petition for the variance and use for developmental standards for Melissa Young for the construction of attached garage with a 5-foot side setback instead of a 10-foot on the property.
A second?
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, same sign.
Good luck.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Was it worth the wait, right?
Is there any further business in front of the board?
Just to thank you for having the thought in extending the time to obtain permits up to 3 years on that one. That was good thinking, because with the other agencies permitting construction of a pipeline, all the things that need to come together for what they're going to do, that's not going to happen in a year. So thank you for that.
Good
I'd
job,
like to
Glenn.
compliment the president on the momentum of our meeting tonight.
So I second that.
Good leader, good leader. Okay, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you guys. Have a good evening.
Thank you.